Shannon, it's wonderful to be talking to you today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's so nice to be talking to you as well. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, no worries. And like Uncle Jeff said, I'm going to approach this with an open heart. So just so you know that.
Amazing. We love an open heart. Thank you.
Now, we're going to go way back, but heading into tribal council, did you have any idea that you were in the predicament you were in?
No, I had no idea. I've joked. I think my shot in the dark was like in my shoe in the bottom of my bag. I didn't even like I'm like, here we go. Let's do this thing. I was feeling secure and safe for sure.
Now, we saw some of this at tribal council, but I mean, it's one thing when whether players or fans want to criticize somebody's gameplay. It's far another thing to criticize somebody's faith, their beliefs, their
Mm,
entire system. Like that's a whole different area. Uh,
mm.
that was part of your story. What do you think about all of that? Is it just a case of they didn't understand?
Yeah.
How do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. It's definitely difficult, right? Because what's more important to me than my faith? And what was important for me to recognize was that even this experience of my faith being questioned and my authenticity being questioned and my integrity being questioned was a spiritual journey for me in and of itself. You know, just to have that questioned about you can be really, really hard. Um, but for me, I know who I am, and for me, I knew where I was coming from, and for me, I also have so much compassion and understanding for how I could be misunderstood, and I think that going into a game like this where there's this lens of paranoia and there's this lens of fear and there's also strategy to talking badly about other people. That's not how I wanted to play, but for some people talking badly about other people, it's good strategy. It is. And you know, this isn't the first time I've been misunderstood in my life. When you talk about things like God and Jesus and spirituality, you're kind of setting yourself up to potentially be misunderstood. So for me, wearing my heart on my sleeve and wearing my faith on my sleeve, it's worth the criticism and the judgment and the misunderstanding that can come with that.
Well, we saw, I mean, one of the biggest people out there was obviously Sage with her her eye rolls or did you realize that your relationship was that fractured that she was thinking the things that she did?
No, no, absolutely not. You know, I love Sage out of the game and I love Sage in the game. And in the game, I thought we had something special. I thought we had something unique. I thought that we were put in these different difficult situations for a reason. And you know, that being said, I also understand how she developed the perspective that she did. It became clear to her that I was closer with the Uli 4 than I was with her. She caught on to that more than I recognized. And then when it came to that first swap, I said to Sage, you know, let's say what we need to say to get through this. So
Right.
from my perspective, I thought even if, you know, me putting her name out there got back to her, I thought we were kind of covered because we had this like survivalist mindset together. So I definitely did not have the proper read on Sage. Obviously, you know, I loved her. I loved her out there. I wanted to work with her. But I think just because of all the different dynamics that we were put into and I was put into, it was just hard for her to feel she could trust me, and I think that's really valid.
Now, at the end of tribal council, she shook your hand, refused to give you a hug. At the time, did you make any connection? What, like, did it seem out of left field to you, or did you kind of understand where she might be coming from?
Um, In the moment it came out of left field. In the
Yeah.
moment it came out of left field, you know, to get blindsided, as epic as it is, because it's an epic experience. It's hard, but it's really cool as well. When that happens, you know, everything just blows up in your face in a split second. So I was already doing my best to maintain my composure so that I could leave with grace and
Yeah.
respect for
Right.
myself and my fellow players. And so to be, you know, grounding myself as much as possible to then her rejecting my hug for a handshake. It was just a lot to process in the moment. So in that moment, I wasn't like, oh, it was you, because clearly it was all of them. I didn't really care who it was. It happened, right? But afterwards, it began to just like sit with me a little bit more. And for me, I was concerned, like, did I do something to hurt her? Because I just genuinely cared about the people out there. So once I was out of the game, it was less like what happened strategically, and I more just wanted to like make sure that she was okay. And it was hard to not be able to talk to her right after that.
Was there any, have you had any conversations since then? How are things now?
Yeah, me and Sage have talked at length, you know. She came home from the show and called me the next day and kind of just aired it all out. And what I really appreciate about me and Sage and our ability to communicate is that there's a certain emotional maturity there.
Right.
We really respect each other, and we're also open. Like, I'm not a perfect person, and so I'm really open to hearing like what happened, how did I hurt you, like what could I have done better. So using it as a personal development experience for myself as well. And so I just embraced Sage with like a lot of love and openness and forgiveness, but also wanted to hear like what happened. So we talked extensively. And then after like our first or second conversation, she let me know like I'm excited to give you a hug. And then she came to Boston last month and we got to hug, and it was
Oh.
really beautiful. So very full circle.
Well, this is the same, like many survivors talk about that coming back and then they realize things about themselves. This isn't just the survivor experience, it's the whole personal growth and how that mirror reflects. And a lot of us in life don't get that because, again, we surround ourselves with friends, family, and of course, they're going to be a little less critical of us than strangers would. Now, one of her arguments too was like she was questioning the genuineness of your connections out there. Now, as we know, whether you want to or not, as a lot of people have said, I'm going to go out there and this is a business trip. You can't help but to create bonds with people.
Yeah.
How was it out there for you? Because again, that was one thing that was thrown out a lot that, maybe a lot of these connections were manipulative rather than genuine.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously this has come up a lot today, but my perspective on it is that for me, it was never a business trip. For
Yeah,
me, the connections were always a big part of it. I value relationships more than money. I value conversations with people. And for me, I joke because Survivor came out with this post and it said strategy or sincere, right? And my strategy was almost to be sincere, right?
right.
To really care about these people. And naturally, in an environment where there's so much paranoia and fear, it doesn't matter what someone does. It doesn't matter what they do. You can label it as insincere. You can label it as strategic. And I went in with two mindsets. One, I really wanted to care about people and I really wanted to be there for people because I think I was able to recognize the physical, emotional, spiritual stress that we would all be under. And I wanted to be someone who could be there for other people. One, because sure, it could also serve me great in the game and give me more options in the game.
Right.
And in addition to that, it just made being there more fun and more fulfilling, right? And I've said this a couple times, but like I got to talk to Christina about her Irish twins and her mom, and Alex about his sister, and Steven about space, and Rizzo about his brother, and Savannah about her mom, and Nate about his kids. Like I got to have incredible conversations with these people that I don't care what other people label it, right? Because that's something I get to take from the experience. So that was one perspective for me. And the other part of my game was I was going to give it all I had. I was going to give it all I had, specifically in situations where it wasn't in my favor, right? So that first tribe swap, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to play dead, just pull me along. Like I knew that wasn't going to be what would work for me. No one's gonna, I don't think anyone would, but I don't think anyone would buy that.
Right.
Because I do think Sage was kind of aware of the four that I had, and I do feel like, I was coming across decently physical in challenges. So I was like, I'm gonna give it my all here, and I'm gonna come up with the best plan I can. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I knew I wanted to give the game all I had, in addition to being a caring, sympathetic, emotional person. But you take those two together, some people are going to misunderstand you, and that's just part of life.
Yeah, and that's no different than a lot of people have played where they don't, a lot of people don't know because it's a game. Okay, are you my friend? Do I have this bond? That's nothing new in Survivor. Now, you've spoken a great length about your faith and what that means to you. What was it like to have that in juxtaposition to a Survivor game, which is
Yeah.
about backstabbing, betraying people, and often lying? I mean, even if it's just like,
No,
hey, I'm not voting for you, but you really are. So you've got to.
no.
How was it like balancing those two things for you?
So I'm going to give you a deeper response than I've been giving most people, but processing playing the game has actually been really challenging for me at times, specifically because I've found the Bible, and the Bible is really guiding me and has really supported me as I've transitioned out of Survivor. So it's really hard to read something in the Bible that says, God hates arrogance, lying, deceptiveness, sowing seeds of division, false witness, right?
Yeah,
And what I am what's helping me just kind of process the experience was that Survivor's a game where it's almost like these negative, evil things are like allowed, right? And maybe that's why it's such an interesting social game. But I did my best to bring love into this game. I did my best to bring light into this game. That you didn't see one confessional of me talking bad about somebody. You never saw me sitting saying this person's the worst and she's that wasn't I cared about these people. I loved these people and that was consistent before the game, during the game, and after the game. And so I feel like I was trying to bring light into a really difficult environment, and naturally that kind of made me a threat, but it was also misunderstood as well. And I think that's just the price you have to pay sometimes for being yourself.
now, obviously, we only get to see a small portion of your journey because, time is what it is. Is there anything like a conversation you had with somebody, maybe a
Yeah.
strategic moment? Is there anything that you wish would have been included so people could have maybe understood or appreciated your journey even more?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that are important from the perspective of the game. One moment that comes to mind is the moment I had with Christina, when she was mourning her mother. And in my one-on-one interviews, I was kind of having this moment of purpose in the game where I was recognizing that maybe I'm here in this game to help people process deep things that have happened in their life. That moment with Christina wasn't the first one. Earlier in the Uli days, Jawan was mourning his grandmother, and that came up from him out of a meditation. And so for me, the game almost started to become how can I serve these people while also playing the game, And I think that it's important for me to say I was also there to play the game. I was also there to give it my all. I didn't leave my family and my boyfriend and have everyone supporting me for me to not give it my all in the aspect of the game.
Right.
But in addition to that, there was some other fun alliances that were made, like me and Jawan. Jawan approached me on day one, minute one, with the Salt and Pepper Alliance, and and obviously I said yes to it. It was like the game had just started,
Yeah.
and unfortunately I felt like I couldn't trust him, so that faded away. But when he blindsided me, I tried to blindside him. He hugged me. He goes, "Salt and pepper," and it was sad to see that make the edit because it was such a moment.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then one other thing that I think is important to my story is outside of the fact that I said to Sage, like, let's say what we need to say to get through this. Because I
Right.
feel like it's important for understanding why I trusted her so much was
Mm.
because I felt like our space was strategic at the first tribe swap versus her it was more personal. But there was one other alliance where the 222 did come together, the two from different colored tribes.
Right.
And so me, Steven, Christina, and Alex did meet to form the Family Alliance. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to get Jawan out was because I wanted to continue to nourish that potential alliance going into the merge while also keeping my Uli 4. But if I made it to merge, it would have gotten interesting, that's for sure. Because I had to work with so many people.
Okay. Well, Shannon, it was wonderful talking to you. today. And, Survivor, for one thing, is it's about bringing different people and different perspectives and combining all those things and also allowing the viewers to see those different perspectives and to understand a lot more. So I think in your role in Survivor this year, you brought that in spades. I think people saw a different, different person, a different thing. And you definitely made an impact, and that's more than you can ever ask for.
I appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. That's a insightful perspective. And my only goal was to bring awareness to love and to being there for each other, even in difficult moments. And I'm really grateful that my blind side got to end the way that it did, where right, and that I was able to maintain a certain level of grace and respect because it's a game, and at the end of the day, just being loving and kind to each other is like all that really matters.